Churches and orchestras have tried to address this particular issue in somewhat similar ways. The sense that we simply can't listen anymore. As a culture, as a society, we can't listen. Therefore, we have to have something to keep our eyes busy. So, roughly at the same time that churches started putting screens up with the outlines of the sermons and so forth, or visual elements, orchestras started doing the same thing. While certainly you're not going to have enough of an experience hearing a Beethoven symphony, for example, if we're just playing it for you, we'll give you something to watch as well. So they would put cameras embedded within the orchestra so you could actually see the oboe player perspire while he's blowing his brains out, quite frankly, into that unforgiving instrument, that kind of thing. That has gone away. It was a grand experiment, it's gone away. What happened was it alienated people who were there just to hear the experience, and it didn't solve the problem. And it also detracted from in my view, from the quality of the performance, the quality of the concert. What really catches fire in a performance is when the orchestra feels that the audience is hanging on every note. And the audience has a harder time hanging on every note if some of them are looking at something really cool back behind the orchestra. It seems to me the parallel also happens. Some of the most memorable sermons I've heard have been not only what has been said from the pulpit, but also how others around have received it. You feel like you're on a journey together. And that's what we often talk about here as it relates to concerts. On our journey, we start at one place, 2 hours later we're at a different place. Similarly with a sermon. Well, I think sermons remain vitally important in part because I happen to believe that we as human beings are in fact also gifted to hear things in many, many different ways. And I have built my career on the assumption, on the premise, that people will come into a building, pay a lot of money to come into a building, and sit passively while somebody else does something at them. The premise that we really believe here at the symphony that might hold true in the preaching discussion is that people can have somewhat of a similar experience in listening to music at their own homes with probably better fidelity, without having somebody coughing next to them, without fighting traffic, finding a babysitter, all of those things. So why do they continue to come? And they come for a shared experience. They come for a sense of community. They come because they want to experience something with a room full of total strangers, but they receive it very internally. They receive it very privately, quietly, and with a strong association sense that this music that they are hearing tonight, they've also heard 20 years ago, and they still remember where they heard it. So my career is essentially has as one of its foundations a sense that that premise that people still want to gather together holds even in this multi-digital assault on our senses, and where our attention span is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. As this relates to preaching, again, speaking from my perspective, and what I see around me is actually a bit of a parallel to that. There is a sense that we're a bit empty sometimes. I think Monday through Saturday takes a lot out of a lot of people, and many times I come to a service on Sundays absolutely empty, and I want to be filled, and I want to be filled along with other people being filled at the same time. So it's both it's a relationship with the person delivering the sermon, it's a relationship with the people in the pew around us, and of course there's obviously also a very important vertical relationship with Jesus Christ and all of this. But I do not believe for a second that has somehow been pushed out of our way of receiving important information, receiving important cultural messages, and in receiving the Word of God.